Hello everybody. This video is going to be a little bit of the introduction to the syllabus that I would normally do in a first meeting class. Before I get into the syllabus, I want to look a little bit at D2L. This is the home page that you'll get to once you log into D2L. Obviously I have the syllabus here. I'm going to add some examples from the past for some of the assignments into this widget here. Actually I have them right down here. These are examples from the past, good and bad, for one of the smaller assignments in the class, and we'll be talking about that later. We're going to be using a tool called Zotero, and one of the things I want you to do tonight is get a Zotero account. It's kind of like Google Drive in that you can use it at one computer and then go to another computer and also use it there. However, it's a little bit different than Google Drive because you can't just log into any computer. You have to install a plugin in order to use it. And it gets a little bit more complicated than that. So more than the idea that you can use it at any computer, you can use it at a couple of computers that you set up to use Zotero with. Zotero is a great research tool. It allows you to grab websites, articles, citations directly while you're looking at the internet. You click a button and it'll come into your database. It lets you organize your articles according to folders or according to tags. It allows you to take notes on your articles. So if you're writing a paper or doing a lit review like you're going to do in this class, it's really the best tool that you can use. After you get all that stuff into your database, you can select articles you want and generate citation lists automatically. Maybe having to do some editing, but by and large, the citation list will be accurate. We're going to use a tool called Google Scholar quite a bit in this course, and I'll introduce that at another time. All right, so the research method syllabus. I'm just going to hit some of the key points in here. Obviously, my phone number, and I had put on the syllabus that if we had a snow day, I was going to be providing assignments on D2L. Well, I really struggled today deciding whether or not to cancel class. First of all, the snow was coming down, but it was not real terrible, and Millersville hadn't canceled classes. But I had about 4 or 5 students emailing me that in Lidditz and in York it was quite a bit worse, and they were worried about coming in. So I kept with what's on the syllabus, even though I hadn't introduced it yet. But in addition to Millersville not closing, I struggled with it because I didn't have a lot of your contact numbers. I don't have your contact numbers. I just have what's in the Millersville system, and often people don't use that. And so I was worried about canceling and people still coming anyway. Anyways, it seems to have worked out. 2 students did show up, and that let me know that the required text that I have in the syllabus is not listed with the course and is not in the bookstore. I have considered from time to time not using a syllabus. Not using a textbook because it is very expensive. It's more than $100 and it's a paperback, or it might be $80. It's very expensive. I get a free copy, but one time I bought it and I was kind of shocked. So I've considered from time to time not using it. Students actually do like the book because it is pretty good plain language explanation of some of the difficult concepts that we're going to come into throughout the course. And it's a consistent voice. There's a lot of sites on the internet that have equivalent information, but the voice is different in those, and the challenge of reading level and the assumed background knowledge varies quite a bit from site to site. So because this class is often considered challenging for a lot of people feel that way anyway, the textbook is a nice anchor. So with all that said, I am going to think for the next couple days whether or not I can come up with enough good resources to replace the textbook. So I'm not going to ask you to buy the textbook today. You were going to have to read chapter 1 for next week. I'll come up with something different for next week, and I'll let you know by the weekend whether or not we're going to have to use a textbook, or whether I think I can come up with enough resources that you won't feel that the learning is harder without the textbook. Right? That's how I'm going to make the decision. we're going to use another book, but you're not going to buy it. A lot of the work of this author is available on the internet, and we're going to do a little bit with that tonight. All right, we're going to be using SPSS, Statistical Analysis Software. This class is not a class where we're going to get heavy into statistics, and even doing analysis with even using computer software, which does all the analysis for you, is not a direct outcome of this class. But we're going to do that because it's often hard to picture how the data was arrived at if you don't see the raw data and how the computer software then turns it into something else. So we're going to be doing several exercises this semester where we're going to be using statistical analysis software in the computer labs during class time. All right, I'm going to get down to the required work and the grading. All right. So my main approach to the class, I guess there's two things I want to say about my main approach to the work of the class. First is it's going to be you might consider it semi-flipped class that I'm going to be teaching. And what that means is I'm going to have you doing work on D2L each week. And I'm going to reserve a good amount of class time for groups to be working on the major project of the semester. I've taught this class as a distance learning class pretty consistently for several years now. We've often offered it as a distance learning class and as a face-to-face class in the summer, and the DL class fills up right away, and the face-to-face does not. So we've offered it distance learning quite a bit, but this semester, doing it as a face-to-face class is going to give us the opportunity to do a lot of group work and a lot of collaboration in a much easier and more, probably a more meaningful way. So I'm going to devote some class time, a significant amount of class time to a group project, and then have some things that are done each week online. Basically online, I'm going to have a set structure that's going to be the same every week, unless we have a snow day, and that'll be different. I'm going to ask you to do 3 kinds of things online each week. The first thing is going to be some reading, usually it would be a chapter of the textbook or the alternative source that I've got. Something that has you engage with that, the content in that text, to practice with it, maybe take some practice quizzes with it, maybe do an activity, something that you're going to use to kind of digest the content of that text. That's the first thing. The second thing is research that you will do at home that's going to contribute to what the group does when you're in class together. And the third thing is each week I'm going to have a very short, what I'm going to call entry ticket. And this is a little discussion question that I'm going to ask that may be more opinion-based than based on the reading, that I'm going to use to ask you to do before you come into class, possibly respond to a peer. So I can get a sense of where people are at before class starts, and then I'll usually use the discussion or the ideas that come out in that discussion as an opening in the class that we have that day. Right? So with that said, the second thing I want to say about how I'm going to do the class is that I'm going to take more or less a mastery approach to the class. So you're going to see 2 assignments where that's clearly true. And the big assignment, the group project, I'm also going to explain how that's mostly true. All right,